Kenny Miller has been speaking about Celtic before the Cup final this weekend, and he has identified a Celtic fear. Yes, a Celtic fear that could see Rangers torn apart in the Vidplay Cup final this weekend against Sevco. But it wouldn't be the Scottish media if they didn't have a bad news story about Celtic. They are going with along the lines of Ronnie Deila. Yeah, they're going back that far. And on his struggles when he was at Celtic, and he lost himself that much that he won 2 titles in a row with Celtic. And then obviously Rangers players can't even say the name Celtic, they call us the other team, and he vows to hurt Celtic this weekend. Ange Postecoglou reveals coaching talks that he has on a monthly basis, and former manager Neil Lennon has been talking about and winding up Ali McCoist, and he says that there'll be a penalty to Rangers this weekend, and he says there'll also be a Celtic sending off. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. That's all in today's One Celtic Fans View, Celtic FC News this morning. So the breaking news there is this morning on Friday is the fact that Michael Beale plays Celtic this weekend, and there's a host of old Rangers players that have been up talking about Celtic, and Kenny Miller being one of them, speaking on Open Goal, says if it was Hatate, McGregor, O'Reilly or even Moy, they've just played together that much. He says there's goals in them. They can take the ball, they can work their socks off. I think they've had the time together. Who's going to do it for Rangers? He has a fear factor. This is a fear factor in Celtic that will actually tear Rangers apart this weekend. Tell me what you think in the comments. Will Celtic tear apart Sevco this weekend? He says when you look at it, they've got the midfielders, they've got the attackers, they've got the fullbacks into it as well. Everyone scores goals at Celtic, and it's going to be a fantastic game. Moving on to this Ronnie Deila story. There's a few papers running with the story that about when Ronnie Deila was manager. He said it was revolved around fear and results. And the ex-Celtic manager says he lost himself at Celtic. The Norwegian boss was praised for the job that he'd done at Standard Liège this season. But you have to remember he won a couple of titles and the League Cup at his time at Celtic. The former Celtic boss has admitted he was unable to relax. Now, having been a fan of those times and having went to every game, home and away, over those 2 seasons, I can tell you I don't think there was a lot of fear in Ronnie back in those days. The fact that the former Celtic manager used to have the Ronnie Roar, and they had a sort of affiliation with the fans, and especially the away fans at that time, that there was a real togetherness, and I don't think there was a lot of fear. So I think it's probably been taken out of context, talking about things that probably weren't taken out of context. The fact that a current Sevco player has said that they are so much better than the Scottish champions. If they were so much better than the Scottish champions, they wouldn't be 9 points behind and 26 goals to the worse off. Yes, the Zambian player who plays for Sevco says he wants to hurt Celtic this weekend, and he says that if Steven Gerrard had stayed at Ibrox, they would have won the title last season and not struggled in the first part of this campaign. But Stevie G run as soon as he found out who Ange Postecoglou was. He went on to say, when you play against them, it's a different game. You want to hurt them. I just don't know if that is the right word to use. Well, it probably wasn't the right word to use, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of hurt on that side of Glasgow this weekend, especially when they get beat. Ange Postecoglou has revealed that he has monthly chats with Aussie coaches to gauge new ideas. And he also says that he talks to coaches in Japan to develop his managerial skills. Even though he's been a manager for 26 years, he still believes in continuous progression as a manager, and he still speaks to other managers on an ongoing basis to make sure. Growing up in Australia, he says, is a disadvantage to a football loving person. He says it's not the number one sport, but the advantage of loving sport is that you're surrounded by it. He was also went out to say, growing up I was lucky enough to be exposed to multitudes of team and individual sports on my doorstep. I've kind of been used to the networks throughout my career, whether it was asking a player or now that I'm coaching. He's asking players and coaches in different sports how they coach and how they actually manage players and teams and all the rest of it, and he says it's been fantastic. He says it's great stuff because throughout it, all these different sports, he's picked up similar things, and he's picked up ways of dealing with teams and the dynamics of players in his football career. He went on to say that there's always stuff that you can pick up, and basically there's always good ways and things and tips that you can pick up when handling the media, and that's why he's so good at handling the media here in Scotland. So moving on to another former manager, yeah, it's all former managers we're talking about today, Neil Lennon. He said he would go into the bookies and he would put on a double, and the double bet he would put on would be penalty Rangers and a red card for Celtic. He said, I would be all over that. He basically went on to say as well, he says it'll be interesting to see what time Sevco get their penalty at the weekend. Celtic, he went on to say, will probably go in as favourites at the beginning of the game, but you can't call it. It says it can go either way. I think it'll be a case of who can deal with the atmosphere and the conditions in terms of the league. Celtic are still 9 points clear with a huge goal difference. Psychologically, if Celtic get the win, it'll totally deflate Rangers, but if Sevco were to get the win, it'll give them a bit of belief until the end of the season. I could see it being a case that Celtic will go for the kill in the first 10-15 minutes. Celtic get a goal in the first 10 minutes, it's game over and it's night Sevco land. But what do you think? Tell me in the comments, what do you think the score will be this weekend? It is all heating up over a couple of days to go. The madness will get even worse tomorrow as the papers and everybody tries to determine which teams will be out this weekend. So on that note, have a great Friday wherever you are, Celtic fans all around the world, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for the next Celtic news update.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to